Real talk, real impact, unfiltered and unapologetic. This is FemmeIcon.
Hi everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Mahvish Akhtar with another episode of FemmeIcon. And today we're talking about adulthood, psychological and religious perspective on adulthood. And I know, what does that even mean? What are we even going to talk about? I know it's it doesn't really make any sense, but it does. There's a lot to talk about in this particular topic, and we're going to start from the very beginning, and we're going to come up to adulthood to explain all of these things that happen to us when we become adults and we become so tired of being adults, because God, it's tiring being an adult, and I'm almost 50 and I don't feel like one. I still feel like, God, what am I doing? I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. It still feels like, am I getting it right? And I even though I've been doing this for so long, it still feels like I just started yesterday. And I didn't. I absolutely didn't just start yesterday. Let me fix this. It's a little bit crooked. I'm sorry. But then it's going to go too high, and then my face is going to be... It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good, right? Yeah, I think it's actually better now, because now I'm more in focus. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, because I remember being young, like 11, 12, and thinking, gosh, I can't wait to be older. I can't wait to be in control of my life. I can't wait to make my own decisions. And adults have it so good. And I'm sure most of you can relate to that. Most of you can relate to thinking that way and wanting to be, I don't know, it keeps freezing. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm so sorry. You guys can see me, right? You can see me and hear me? Because the screen freezes and then I don't want to keep talking if it's in and out, so I'm not I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm giving you just like dead air, but I'm honestly not sure right now if you can. Should I start again or should I continue? I'll give it like 15 seconds and then I'll start. Okay, can you guys... Okay, so you guys... So you guys, can you... Okay, so the volume is low. Is that the problem? Is this better? There's always a problem with volume. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's always a problem with me. Okay, so Assalamu alaikum. I guess we're back on track. So we're talking about okay, yeah. My screen was freezing up. You still can't hear me, Mas? It's probably you because other people can. Let me know if I cut off because it's sometimes I can't be. I'm not loud enough. That's also a problem. So what we're doing today is we're talking about adulthood, and as children, I remember wanting to be an adult, right? And we all wanted to be adults. We all thought life would be so much easier. And now that we're adults, I see that all of us, or most of us, are just what we called not wanting to adult, or adulting. We say this thing where it's like, oh, adulting is so hard and I don't know how to be an adult. And like I was just saying, that I'm almost 50, right? And I feel like am I doing things right? Do I know how this works? Do I know how life works? And then I wonder, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel inadequate? And I know a lot of us who are now adults feel that way, right? So that's the question that we need to try to answer, is why do we feel that way? We just say, oh, pressure of life, things are difficult, everything is... But that's been there. That's always been there. So why didn't our parents question this? Have this question अपने लिए और अपने दोस्तों के लिए, घर वालों के लिए, कि हमसे ये नहीं हो रहा, ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है. To be a grown up is, oh my God, so difficult. So why is it like that? और अब physicians and psychologists and researchers are finding out that this is growing, and because of this issue that adults, young adults, they're facing issues like anxiety and mental health issues अब बढ़ते जा रहे हैं उसकी वजह से. And I can give you a list, but we'll go into it later on. So the problems that this is creating, real life issues that this is creating, other than let me just read this real quick. We always want things assuming they will be better, until we actually get there. I always think fondly of the saying of Jesus in the New Testament, who was asked about who will enter kingdom of heaven. Oh, I would like to, sorry. I would like to know the full version of it. Is it too long, Mas? So the things that are coming up are loneliness, even not just like loneliness, but that added to physical pain and physical illnesses caused by stress and the kind of situations that we have been met with. And then there is the lack of maintaining healthy relationship. Then obviously there's money issues, there's life trauma. But then again, life trauma is with everybody. So these are the reactions that are happening with today's generation. And of course, this happened with everyone. We faced it too, and then the generation that came after us, and then this generation, but it's getting worse and worse. I need my glasses. That's how old I am. He said, be like this child. Hang on. And it was a 12-year-old child, curly hair. He rubbed and was like, this is how you have to become to enter kingdom of heaven. Innocence, how things were simple and life was not complex. And you thought so pure, uncorrupted by life and its practical concerns. Well, we know that from Islam as well, that people who enter Jannah will be young adults. We know that from that as well. And of course, as we grow older, we do have more tests and more things to grapple with. That is life. But the question here is that why are we not prepared for it? Why are we so baffled by, oh my God, I have difficulty. Oh my God, this big question of how am I going to live my life? How am I going to make money? And why is it so hard to make money? And why is it so hard to study this thing that I wanted to always study? And why is it so hard to keep relationships? And why is it so hard to balance my family and balance my work, or practice my religion or not practice my religion, or all these questions. 33 is, yeah, I mean, again, they say that your age is but a number. Actually, I don't believe in that. I mean, for your mind, you can train your mind to be whatever you want it to be, but you can't train your body. Your body is going to be the age that it's supposed to be. You can't train it to be anything else. So all these things, and that's what they say, that for this generation, young adults, all of it is catching up with them. They're lonely, and they have money stress, and they're being stressed for how to keep their relationships with their parents, and then their if they're married, then their spouse or their friends, and how to manage all of that. And then again, the question becomes, well, as we were growing older, or you guys, I hate to say you because it happened to us too, but we are past that point. And some of you are right in the middle of it, and some of you are going towards it. I don't know, Maz, if you're, which, point you want to, which category you want to put yourself in. That why were we not prepared for it? So who are we going to blame this on? And it's not about blame in the sense of, oh, you messed up or you did something wrong, but where did it go wrong, I guess, is a better way to phrase it. कि कहाँ पे ये गलत हुआ, कि ये relationships किस जगह पे, ये relationships, ये life कहाँ पे ये हुआ कि अब इस एज पे आके as grown-ups किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि oh, I don't know how to be an adult. It's not about being young in your head and having fun with life, because that is extremely important. लेकिन ये बात कहाँ हुई कि किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि ओ मुझे ये भी करना था, ओ मुझे ये बैलेंस भी आना चाहिए, मुझे लोगों से रिलेशनशिप बनाना भी आना चाहिए खुद से, without anybody's help. And it got so bad that you are anxious, that you're needing mental health support, that you're needing to that you're becoming lonely, that you're becoming depressed, that your life is falling apart. ये हमारे साथ कहाँ हुआ? Okay. I think we make it hard on ourselves, to be honest. Yeah, it's true. But then again, why? That's the question, not why. It's kind of expectation if we just didn't put ourselves into pressure from ourselves. Honestly, I don't know about my own situation at times. I can say we make it through the day. That's a big thing. Yeah. And it shouldn't be a big thing, though. I mean, you guys do make it hard on yourselves. I know it. I've seen it. And that's not always a bad thing. To challenge yourselves, it's a good thing. Definitely a good thing. But at times, for a lot of people, I mean, I'm not to be biased, but in your case, you handle it really well, Maz. And for a lot of people, that overwhelms them because expectations है ना. अब जैसे पेरेंट्स की बात करें कि बहुत सारे relationships हैं जो handle नहीं होते. That includes parents से relationship, people that you grew up with, people that actually raised you. फिर ये time आता है कि adulthood में आके you don't know how to have a relationship with them for whatever reason, whether they're right or you're right or they're wrong or जो भी dynamic है. But you're an adult now. You should be able to have a relationship with them. अब उसमें भी क्या होता है? You're trying to make them proud of you, right? And they're trying to help you achieve something. But you guys are not on the same page. And if you look at it from a different perspective, तो भाई आप लोग साथ पले बड़े हैं, right? उन्होंने आपको पाला है, आप साथ रह चुके हैं. No, it's okay. I don't mind the running commentary. I like it when we're having a discussion. And it helps me go faster. और जो मेरी इतनी लंबी मेरी जो lecture चलता है बहुत लंबा वो छोटा हो जाता है because you guys end up saying a lot of the points that I have here. So that eliminates a lot of things that I would say. And I don't like running on too long. So what ends up happening is that you guys are not on the same page. And why is that? Why are you not on the same page? In even though you guys have lived, in the same house together. So that discrepancy that you guys have in the relationship, then that ends up causing even more problems because then the children that are growing up or have grown up, they start to think of themselves as failures because they want to please their parents, but they're not able to. And that adds to the anxiety and adds to the problems in their daily life. Let me read the comments. I just wanted to finish that point. So Khudam is saying, Mrs. Shah, with all due respect, please let her complete first and after. Oh, okay. I mean, it's fine. I can just complete my thought, and then look at his comment. We're lucky we got some of those social skills to function, and our parents are so grateful that we have figured it out to an extent, so it eases their own burden. Well, I mean, that happens too. And, I think, again, like you said, Maz, I think it's about, if you figure it out in time, and if you know that, okay, our parents are going to be grateful, and parents training, would you disconnect hota hai? There's a reason for it, obviously. If you have a good relationship with your parents, and good relationship matlab hai ki if they've done a good job on you, and yahan pe jo main ye baat kar rahi hu ki you're trying to please your parents and it's not happening, that only happens if they haven't paid attention to what you needed, and then as you grew up you haven't paid attention to what your parents needed when you were a little bit older. So wo ek imbalance create हो गया ना parents के साथ. So वही चीज बात हो रही है कि we haven't been taught, and our parents haven't been taught, we haven't been taught कि how to communicate with each other in that solid way. अगर हम religious point of view से भी बात करें तो जो family की value है, और जिस तरह बच्चों को raise किया जाता है, and that's the point I wanted to make from a religious perspective on raising children. क्योंकि हम जो बात कर रहे हैं अभी हम आगे जाके we're gonna go back to, अभी तो हम adults की बात करें, but we have to go to the core of why this happens. Why in adulthood all of a sudden we feel like we're left alone, right? We feel like we don't know anything about life, and at every step we second guess ourselves. पहली चीज तो ये आ गई कि हमारा सबसे पहली चीज ये होती है कि even though we come from, हमारी society में we come from two parent backgrounds more or less. Parents were happy, not happy, that's, not a question that we want to ask or we have asked. That's how life is. But सबसे बड़ी चीज ये होती है कि have our parents given us our rights? इसकी भी हम थोड़ी सी डिटेल में थोड़ा बाद में जाएंगे. But have they given us our rights? I mean, we have been asked to give them their rights, which is absolutely yes, they should be. We should give them their rights. But when we were little, our needs were different. So that was important कि वो उससे उन rights से क्या होता है कि हमारी एक bonding हो जाती है parents से. After we were born 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we had rights जो हमारे parents को देना ज़रूरी था. So were we given those rights by our parents? yeah, it was one of those things के कोई गलत काम किया तो हमें गुनाह देंगे. That was the idea of heaven and hell that was instilled in us. Or were we taught a broader concept of religion? And were we presented with you are a gift from Allah and we are so lucky to have you? एक वो स्टार्ट होता है ना कि आप तौहीद भी सिखाएंगे बच्चों को, फिर उसके बाद ज़ाहिर है जब एक एज आएगी तो नमाज भी सिखाएंगे और हलाल हराम का भी कॉन्सेप्ट देंगे. वो तो आप आगे जाके ही देते हैं बच्चों को, लेकिन हमारी कल्चर में हलाल हराम का और गुनाह का कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत जल्दी दे दिया जाता है. बट वो कॉन्सेप्ट कि you are something valuable that was given to us by Allah, that's a solidifying concept, thought process that you put in your kids at a very young age, which really changes the course of their lives, changes how they handle adulthood, in my opinion. One solace is that you eventually realize that your parents are human beings, yeah, and they haven't figured it out yet. And often you exceed them in certain, definitely you do, I keep clicking it, sorry, in certain departments. And they start respecting you. Yeah, they do. That definitely happens. But I'm talking about how your brain functions. Because none of this is, of course, you're always going to love your parents and respect your parents. But this is about how your brain functions. None of this is actively, oh, now because my parents didn't raise me that way, now I hate them, or now I'm going to go take revenge on them. This is just basic how we raise our children, or how we have raised them. And those of us who are now adults, this is how our brain works, right? And this is what we have learned about religion or about the world around us. And that is why we have these feelings of, okay, adulthood and life is difficult. And this is what's been instilled in us. And so these pieces of information are important so that we can kind of undo that information. Of course, it's not about our parents. They were raised the same way. So they're just passing general things on to us, right? And it's good to actually know. So we make sure to not do that to our children, right? So we know how to, uncondition or decondition ourselves to not talk to our kids that way and not give them trauma related to religion, because that's extremely important. Because you just, randomly, I've seen mothers do that a lot, and it doesn't come from a place of malice or from a reason to be hurtful to their children, but that does create a certain type of trauma that the kid will just, किसी चीज को उठा के they're throwing it, or they're going towards something that is bad for them, कि किसी शीशे वाली चीज की तरफ जा रहे हैं या बाहर भाग रहे हैं, तो they're just like, oh, ऐसे नहीं करना, गुनाह मिलेंगे, अल्लाह ये गुनाह देते हैं. And it's a completely innocent gesture from the parents' part. They're just trying to make sure कि बच्चों को चोट ना लगे, and doesn't, get into some kind of an accident or something. But इस तरह होता रहा सारे बचपन, so they get used to that idea of anything bad is related to Allah. And so that trajectory needs to change. And we're all adults. And we remember that I don't know if Maz, your dad ever did that, but I don't know. I have a different relationship with him. For me, he's like really cool. So I don't know. But a lot of parents do that. So that if we can change that with our children, that will be one of the things that, because whatever we are learning now, हमारे बच्चे हमारे वो उनके ज़हन में बैठ जाएगा. Intention is something different. लेकिन वो उनके ज़हन में बैठ जाएगा. And then that, stays with children. And then there's another thing. The tiredness, we're all tired. The second we become adults, we're tired. Right? I mean, I'm sure all of you can agree with that. Because Like I talk to my nieces and nephews who are in their 30s and some in their 20s. And anytime I talk to them, like, what's going on? I'm just so tired, man. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. And I always yell at them because अब मैं उस एज पे आ गई हूँ कि मैं वो कह सकती हूँ उनसे कि you're tired? मैंने 2 बच्चे हैं और घर है और जॉब है और बिजनेस संभाल रही हूँ और ये कर रही हूँ वो कर रही हूँ और तुम्हें क्या, तुम बस सुबह को जॉब पे जाती हो, घर आ जाती हो और उसके बाद कोई काम शाम करती नहीं हो, बाकी सब मैं संभालते हैं और you're tired. किस बात की tired? But I understand that it's mental tiredness जो आपको physically भी tired कर देती है, right? So that's all of the obligations that we think that we have that make you tired, that you have to do certain things in a certain way. I mean, I feel the same way, but because I can call her out on these things, I just will, because the same thing was done to me with, my parents did to me too. कि तुम क्या थकी हुई हो, अभी तो तुम जवान हो, अभी तो तुम्हारी उम्र ये चीज़ें करने की, और जॉब से आती हो बस थकने का करना शुरू कर देती हो, ग्रोसरी नहीं करनी, और ये whatever things that parents say. But the thing is, we were tired too when we were young. We were mentally tired. And again, religion plays a role in it because we had so much pressure to follow it in a certain way, do things in a certain way. We didn't have the option, a lot of us didn't have the option to explore it and learn it all different ways and then have a conversation about it. And I know a lot of you can relate to that too, कि हमारे पास ये ऑप्शन नहीं थी कि अच्छा ये ऐसे क्यों है और ये इस तरह क्यों है, ये ऑप्शन नहीं थी हमारे पास, right? Because जिस तरह से कोई मौलवी साहब हैं, कोई किसी का पीर है, कोई किसी का कुछ है, and I'm just going to be very frank about this, कि वो है और उसको आप क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते. And it was a one-way street. हमको जो चीज़ सिखा दी पेरेंट्स ने, अगर वो चीज़ पेरेंट्स कर रहे हैं तो we can't question it कि आपने हमें तो ये करने को कहा लेकिन आप तो नहीं कर रहे हैं. We can't ask those questions. So that adds to the fatigue and the tiredness of, oh my God, why am I having to follow in this society, culture, religion when I don't understand it? So जब हम उस वक्त भी होता था, अब भी होता है, जब हम कहते हैं कि ये आजकल के बच्चे तो बिल्कुल दीन से दूर हो गए हैं, ये आजकल के बच्चे उनको तो परवाह ही नहीं है अपने कल्चर की, अपने whatever traditions, customs की. That's actually not true. The issue actually is that हमारे culture और हमारे customs को, especially religion को, in young adults को explain नहीं किया गया. They haven't been taught कि what are they following and why are they following it. A proper explanation, a proper thought process has not been given to them. And they have not been allowed to explore different sides of it. Because this religion is not about, this is one little, and Mazad want you to add to what I'm saying right now, because I know you have a lot more information on this than I do, is unless you've left. Okay, so no, he's still here. Because we have a lot more different perspectives, different ideas, different types of people that have been a part of our religion. And ये इस तरह नहीं हो सकता हमारे दीन में कि आप बस एक ही, जैसे कहते हैं लकीर के फ़कीर, कि आपने एक ही चीज़ को पकड़ लिया और बस सब वैसे ही करें. दुनिया भर में ये रिलीजन है तो ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है इस दीन में? So that is the thing, that is the beauty of our religion. Okay, so this is what we're talking about right now. Like that hadith, a believer is to another believer like a brick in a wall. Meaning they keep each other upright or keep each other together. So that's just one example that you are, we're supposed to be keeping each other, helping each other, keeping each other together. So it can't be that you just kind of you leave each other be, So we are at every step of the way. Exactly. There is blessing in difference of opinion and difference of thought process, and we can't discount that. So we have grown up with that idea of, no, I'm telling you this, and this is all there is. And we've been discouraged to find different opinions, to find different ideas. And I know all of you can relate to that. For sure you can relate to that. So, so I'm going to move on. And this is, I was talking about, ये जो थोड़ी सी डिस्कशन थी, ये तो हमने थोड़ा बच्चों की और चाइल्डहुड के बारे में डिस्कस किया कि what childhood से मतलब है childhood, right? That this is how we're raised, in a very, चाहे वैसे parents बहुत open-minded हो, बहुत modern हो, but mainly in a very rigid way when it comes to asking questions and opening up and discussing things. We don't get that much freedom in that way, right? And it's thought to be कि बस ठीक है हम बता रहे हैं वैसे कर ले, and that's it. Our way is always better. And parents know, they're experienced for sure. But kids do have to explore a little bit. They need to explore a little bit. Age appropriate questioning and exploring. We have to understand we have our subjective perspectives that I think limits us and causes those pains. It's unless and until you step back to see it from another angle and achieve objectivity. Yeah, I mean, everybody has a perspective. And we cannot have an open-minded, a more, I would say, focused worldview, actually, if we step back and, get the bigger picture. Because we have to know what other people are thinking to get more focus. Because you're not going to know what you want to believe in, what you want to be sure about, until you learn about other people, other points of view, other scholars' opinions and beliefs. You're not going to understand what is it that actually you believe in. It's a continued exercise of selflessness and not being bogged down in our own established thoughts, to make us realize we don't know much to begin with, and it humbles us, definitely, and that's the most important thing, that we, फिर ये भी होता है ना कि एक वक्त में आके then you start to think, oh, I know everything, I'm good, I don't need to learn anything more. And then when we're in this space, usually that only happens with religion, where it's like, I know everything, I don't need to learn anymore. But it's interesting because this is the point where it happens. And it doesn't happen with anything else. We're ready to learn, we're ready to explore with other things, but we're not ready to do that with our religion. Usme we'll just read a little bit, or jo hamare parents ne sikha diya, we're good with that. Somebody asked what we're talking about. The topic is adulthood and just different perspective on it, and why is it so hard? Basically, that's what we're trying to figure out. So yeah, let me just read the last comment. Yeah, you have to be able to open up to another perspective and understanding, and to be honest in my personal experience. It was an uncle who did it for me very early in life. Yeah, you have to find the right people. That's also true. And it's hard, especially early in life. When you're young, you're even more stubborn, even more sure sure of yourself, even if you're not supposed to be. You at that time you don't have any experience, you don't have any information, but you think that you do. So Hasib Abdali, yeah, he's always just, and he's such a humble person. He's so okay. Yeah, and he's a great person who, to do this kind of thing. He's always been very humble and very sweet, and he does that. He's helpful in that manner. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to get through to people. So yeah. All right. So moving on. Yeah, it's important to be around people, and we'll get to that. Talk about friendships and people to be around, and that's one of the very important points. And as you go towards adulthood, to be around people, whether your age or older, who have those kinds of characters, who have those kinds of personalities and those kinds of characters, that are either searching for the truth themselves, or are good people who can take you along with you. And I have that hadith written that I botched this just now. Kahan hai wo? Because that is, yeah. So a faithful believer to another faithful believer is like the bricks of a wall enforcing each other. And so that is, and there's a lot of hadiths like that, which, and this is Bukhari ki hadith, which basically just means, that's what it means, that you need people around you, and a believer should be to another believer that force that you keep enforcing each other and keep helping each other. And jahan hum pehle bhi yahi baat kar rahe hain ki if you have people like that, jo hum baat kar rahe hain ki, adults are having, young adults, anxiety and loneliness and this issue with not wanting to be around people, all of this, that is because there aren't enough reinforcing agents around them. Meaning, there aren't enough people who are helping them feel like they can achieve things. Even their parents are not making them feel that way, whether knowingly or unknowingly. So that is what believers are supposed to do for each other, regardless of age, regardless of relationship, regardless of family or not family. So that is the job, and that has not been done for many generations, right? Abhi hum zahir hai apne parents ki boomers tak nahi ja sakte, because that was a completely different generation. They had completely different struggles. So us tak jana is a completely different unke issues were different. But unke baad se hum log ki generation se leke ab tak, this is the problem कि हम एक बहुत बड़ा problem ये है कि हम एक दूसरे के लिए वो support system नहीं create कर पाए. Now we're going to go up to puberty, because this actually is the very basic important part जहाँ पे things go wrong. क्योंकि our brain is heavily being जिसे कहते हैं ना कि बिल्कुल the wiring is being changed. ऊपर नीचे इधर उधर, the wiring is just completely going. If you look at it just from that point of view, like if you don't look at it from the emotional point of view, and just like hormonal and how the brain activity. So there's separate three things going on during puberty. And it's like 5 to 7 years that it happens. And we know that it's development of the reproductive systems. Of course, we all know that that's not something that anybody is not aware of. But there's 3 different things that are happening. Of course, hormones, biologically hormones are changing. ये एक चीज़ हो गई. दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि आपकी feelings, hormones की वजह से feelings में, like your feelings are going haywire everywhere. ठीक है ना? And then then you have like literally in your brain, like फिजिकल ब्रेन में देयर इज स्टफ हैपनिंग. ऊपर से बॉडी में चेंजेस तो हो ही नहीं है, फिर अंदर ब्रेन में द वायरिंग इज constantly changing, like just constantly changing. So there's 3 separate things happening, and they're all very, very, the person that they're happening with, they're all very, very obvious to that person, right? And it's not just that they're obvious to that person or that kid because they start out as kids, but it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. So the reason I bring this up during the conversation about adulthood is because this is where all these problems solidify that we see in adulthood. This is where parents mostly, and the surrounding and people like social circle and extended family and everybody, what they do, how they do things, what they say, how they say them, all of it, this is where everything just comes together because all these changes are happening, and the way we handle it, that is make or break. Because then after 10 years of whatever situation that they're in, they're going to go out in the world, and that is going to be their adult self. You see? So that's why it's important to know and to discuss this, because whatever we have done so far with the kids that are coming out, it's done. Right? And there is a dilemma. There is a definite dilemma of, okay, what are these adults up to? And it's not their fault. There's some of the most, in my opinions, in some places, yeah, we see some terrible things happening, some crazy young adults. But for the most part, I feel like these people are doing pretty good. But I do also feel, okay, for the most part, these people are really saying that we don't know what we're doing. We want to do more, but we don't understand what situation we've been put in. So let's go over this really quickly and then come back to being an adult. That if we were guided properly through our puberty situation, what would be the result? And what can we do now that after we learn all this, what can we do about it? I think we look at it as a comprehensive struggle and gain to this level we are at. Like a baton race. Our forefathers and mothers brought us to this point to carry it on. Yeah, we have to keep moving forward, of course. This is not something that we, just because they made some mistakes, we give up. And like I said, not everybody is, just because there are some problems doesn't mean everything is lost. And, like you said before, not, their intention was not bad. And they didn't do everything wrong. There were some issues, and we can fix them, move on, raise our kids better, inshallah, and then keep going. And we'll make mistakes too. My kids are still young, but I'm in that age bracket where they should have been older if I had them earlier. So, everybody makes mistakes. It's not, and you guys turned out pretty good. A whole lot of you turned out pretty well. All right, so psychologically, there are 5 stages of puberty. Let's go over them. So there's first, it starts around 10 or 11 for both boys and girls. So this is when the hormones are working behind the scenes. Just kind of, they're not, you can figure them out if you do tests or if you, really on a psychological level, if you do tests like blood tests and other kind of tests, or sit down and talk to the boy and the girl, and then you can figure it out. And then the second one is when you have like signs, hair growth and just little things here and there. Third is when it's more obvious, when it starts to show more. For females, it's growth, breast growth, and for men, it's hair in more places and things like that. And fourth is even more obvious changes, like when you actually see boy or girl and they look like grown adults, and I guess more hair and just other things like that. I don't want to dwell on that because that's not what we're trying to do. So final stage comes around 15 or 16, according to, for both men and women, according to both medical doctors and psychologists. That's when they're considered to have reached puberty. This is not when puberty ends. This is when they have reached puberty, and it continues. They still continue to grow. And 24 is when they finish growing. So 15 is when they've reached puberty, and 24 is when they when the puberty, the process of puberty has ended. Some specialists even say 29, but I'd like to believe 24. Because that was strange for me, the 29 thing, because my husband was 27 when we got married, so he had not, from that perspective, he was still, what? No. 20, and I was 21, so this blew my mind. So I was like, okay, we'll just go with 24. This is all so weird for me. Regardless. Let's just go over what Islam says about puberty. So there's a hadith, Ibn Majah, and I'm not going to read the whole. I'm just going to read the part that is important to us to move forward. The Prophet ﷺ said that I am to you like a father is to his son. So he's establishing that him giving us guidance is as a father gives guidance to his son. So the knowledge that he's giving us, we need to follow it. And I teach you. And then he goes on to to give some rules and regulations about how to do ghusl, how to clean yourself, and just some information of that sort. And so there were some scholars that interpreted this hadith in that way, that this knowledge is not for just the few people he was talking to at that time. This is for everybody. But in Islam, there are 3 steps that solidify puberty. So one is just the ejaculation that happens, just randomly, pubic hair, and then when you turn 15. For women, it's added where when they start their period, menstruation, and the age of 15. This is just a few different things that have been narrated. That there was Hazrat Abdullah. Yeah, Hazrat Abdullah ibn Umar. He wanted to fight, and he was 14. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't allow him to fight. And then the next year he was 15, and the Prophet gave him permission. And then there was another incident where Umar bin Abdul Aziz, he said something about giving salaries to people 15 and over, because that age was they were baligh, or full tax, matlab salaries, they could work and they could take salaries. So if you go over these kinds of things, अगर आप इसमें थोड़े से पढ़ें तो ये establish होता है कि 15, if there isn't another way for you to like if you're not living with the person or don't know them closely, you won't know these signs. You wouldn't know कि अच्छा ये बालिग हो गया, इसको 13 साल की उम्र में ये हुआ, 12 साल की उम्र में ये हुआ, फिर ये हुआ. The standard is 15. और लड़कियों को थोड़ा सा figure out करना आसान होता है, जाहिर है, because mostly they'll be modest, they'll be covering and all those things. So a standard is easier. to maintain. But again, a point to remember is that 15, 16 is the age, even from a medical point of view, where you are done with all those phases जो जिसमें आपकी वो उस तरह की changes आ रही होती हैं, and you start to what I said, you start your time, like your brain की जो changes हैं और वो उस तरह की जो बाकी changes हैं, those are done. Like you're not having but you start your proper I'm trying to say it with in a way that is clear, that you were those major changes are finished. You're not अब voice नहीं change हो रही, अब जो बार जहाँ आने थे वहाँ पे आ गए, periods are regular, they're not like on and off जिस तरह होते हैं. But the changes inside your head, the changes in with your emotions, even with your hormones, they're still happening. So puberty again continues until the age of 24. So the psychological effects that are going on during puberty, let me some of them. Here are some of them. Heightened self-awareness. So इस age में 14, 15 में children, young adults are extremely self-aware. वो 11-12 साल की उम्र से शुरू हो जाता है, लेकिन उस वक्त it's not that strong. Body is still changing. There are a lot of feelings, लेकिन उस वक्त इतनी strong नहीं होती जितनी 13-14 साल की उम्र के बाद से होती है. That you're extremely self-aware about yourself, about what is happening around you, about how you look, about all of those things. You're extremely self-aware. And then there's mood swings. And those are the kind of mood swings that you can't control. You feel things very, very strongly. Happy things and sad things very, very strongly. And I'm going through that right now. I have a 13-year-old, like, oh my God, believe me, they feel things very, very strongly. And then the changing sense of identity, that you feel like you belong in this group of people, like you belong with, these kinds of people. And then a week from them, like he'll tell me I'm friends with these 3 people in school. I'm like, oh, okay, तो कोई event आ रहा है, तुम इनको बुला लो घर में, this. And then 2 weeks later, कोई कुछ होगा, तो I'll be like, oh, I'm inviting some people. तुम अपने friends को बुला लो, फला. Like I'll name the 3 kids that he used to hang out with. And he'll be like, oh, they're not my friends anymore. Now I'm friends with this and this and this person. And he's a very, very committed kid. That if he starts something, he'll stick to that thing. He doesn't change his mind so easily. So for him to just like go back and forth like this is really odd. And then that kind of going from this thing to this thing to this thing brings on anxiety. Because you're just like, okay, where do I fit in? Who am I? What am I doing? Where, who am I going to fit in with next? Who's going to accept me? फिर वो a matter of acceptance बन जाता है, हालांकि it is not a matter of acceptance. And then what's happening with the parents, with us? Most likely what is happening, and what happens even with what happened with our parents, right? अब तो हमारी generation with like 2-3 parents की निकल गई है, is that we as parents, we don't even know that this is happening because we haven't read up on it, and we don't realize, oh, they're just growing up, they're just going through some stuff. We don't realize the physical consequences of it. We don't realize the mental consequences of it. And we don't realize the feelings that are attached to all of this. And पहले तो जो भी था वो था, अब हमको ये लगता है कि oh, they're mature enough, they can handle it. And it's good to let them handle things on their own. But it is also important to talk to them, to express that we are here. And if you need to talk, if you need explanation for some things, we are here. Because you know what all of the kids are thinking? Most of them is that this is just me. मेरे फ्रेंड को तो ये नहीं हो रहा, मेरा फ्रेंड तो ये नहीं सोच रहा. जो मेरे साथ फिजिकली हो रहा है वो मेरे फ्रेंड के साथ नहीं हो रहा और किसी को नहीं पता, तो something is wrong with me. That's what most of the kids are thinking. Unless you sit down and talk to your kid and ask them, are you having this and this and this happen to you? ये चीज़ हुई है, ये चीज़ हुई है. You know, obviously you don't show them, tell them that or show them this at like the age of 8. You know, age appropriate. 11, 12 में, just, you know, go over things. Make sure they understand that this is happening, this might happen to them, and have a conversation. You know, and a lot of times that's what happens. हम जो आगे जाके जो बिल्कुल, you know, absolute, I don't know what I'm doing as an adult, I don't know how to handle my life, that happens because we leave them on, like, abandon them in situations when they feel like they need us. Not feel like, they actually do need us. And so if we look at from an Islamic point of view, children have rights over us. I mean, we talk about that the things that बच्चों को parents के साथ करनी चाहिए, parents के हकूक़ हैं, parents के हकूक़ हैं और बच्चों को करने चाहिए. And I'm the first one to be telling my kids that, oh, you know, rub my feet because that's where your Jannah is. And my kids fall for that. Abhi chote hain, so they totally fall for that. But I'll go over some of the rights because if we keep talking about that, then there's a long list. और हमने already time काफ़ी हो गया हमारा. So right to give them a good name, to pick a good parent for them, which means that when you're picking a spouse, you need to look into कि भाई ये एक किसी point पे जाके मेरे बच्चे का बाप बनेगा, बच्चे की माँ बनेगी, that this person has to be, you know, worthy of that. Right to a good education, right to your affection and love, right to respect and protection. And then there's a lot more, but these are the few. Right to, you know, a safe place and food and shelter and all those things. There's another hadith, Tirmidhi. He who does not have mercy for children and respect for elders is not one of us. So this is just a basic about what kids are going through and what happens when we ignore them, because we do that. Most of us, you know, I'm at that age where, you know, 12, 13, both my kids, their friends are in that age group, right? So sometimes they come over, Jamaica, Shamam ko, they come over and we're just kind of, you know, talking. And I realize how unaware these children are. How unaware they are of what is happening to them. And how much they don't want to talk about it. And I'm not talking about, I don't bring up, you know, puberty and this discussion and being an adult and whatnot. But they don't want to talk about anything real. You know, because वो चीज़ कर दी है ना कि just avoid and ignore everything real. Just talk about things that are not here right now. Talk about fun things. Just ignore real life. अगर हम 13-14 साल के बच्चे को 12-13-14 साल के बच्चे को completely real life से detach करवा दिया है हमने, we're not even talking about it, then you tell me कि उसको फिर हम 10 साल भी नहीं 5 साल के बाद we want him to enter real life. How is he going to do that? He or she. I have boys. That's why I'm around boys constantly. Let me give you an example. What I mean by real life is once boys are after like O levels, अब मेरे बेटे के लिए तो 2 साल बाद O levels आ जाएगा. We want them to study seriously. We want them to find a subjects that would just say they can find a career and then start getting serious about careers. And then well, उधर फिर लड़कियां भी हैं तो, and I'm again giving examples about boys because I have boys and they're around boys. That's what's coming to my mind. And you can also substitute that with girls if you are a girl or if you are a parent of a girl or sister, cousin, whatever. Right? So right now I'm keeping him in a bubble, let's say. पढ़ाई पे concentrate करो, fun movies, detached from real life. Not going to talk to him about him growing up, him having all these feelings and him thinking about girls and all those things. Just not happening. If I'm not talking to him about it, it's not happening. He's not mentioning it to me. Or his dad. Completely just, shut it down. Suppress it. ठीक है ना? We're not talking about it. Not happening. But 2 साल में, 3 साल में, he's going to go to school, right? जहाँ पे लड़कियां भी होंगी, जहाँ पे उसको ये मेजर डिसीजन भी करना है कि उसको सब्जेक्ट चूज करने हैं जिसके लिए उसको फिर एक आगे अपना करियर बनाना है, फिर पढ़ाई करनी है, लग के पढ़ाई करनी है ताकि वो उस करियर की तरफ जा सके, पैसे बनाए, and then get married and then take care of his family, right? तो उसको ये 2 या 3 साल के बाद ये डिसीजन मेकिंग करनी है. He stays in this bubble where he doesn't think about it. But while he's having fun and just acting like a kid, उसका दिमाग में तो ये चीज़ है ना. He still likes girls. Even if he doesn't get a chance to see them, which actually will start happening. I may not know about it, his father may not know about it, but you think he's not going to skip out with his friends once in a while and go see some girl or hang out with his friends' cousins who are female? There is no way that he will not do that. At some point, somewhere. Try to connect with girls. There's no way. और ये मैं सिर्फ अपने बेटे की बात बता रही हूँ. I trust him completely. He's a good kid. But उसकी जो feelings हैं वो disappear नहीं हो जाएंगी just because I refuse to talk about them. And अगर अभी चलो by some miracle ऐसा नहीं भी होता, उस वक्त क्या होगा जब उस स्कूल में जाना शुरू करेगा और उसको वो सीरियस डिसीजंस करने होंगे और उससे किसी ने कोई बात नहीं की होगी, किसी ने कोई डिस्कशन नहीं की होगी. And then he is around girls and then he has to make all these serious decisions. Can he make those serious decisions while having that distraction? और हम ये समझते हैं ना कि oh, this is not a big deal. ये कोई बड़ी distraction नहीं है. But we don't understand what puberty is and what a huge distraction guys and girls can be for each other, especially if you have neglected this whole side of their life. या तो आपने उसको इंट्रोड्यूस करवा दिया हो, उनको बता दिया हो कि इसको कैसे हैंडल करना है, उनको प्रिपेयर कर दिया हो तो वो और बात है. But if they don't know how to handle it and those feelings, those emotions, those thoughts are going unchecked, तो फिर जब वो टाइम आएगा, वो ये होता है ना कि you have a barrier and the waves are just coming and going and coming and going, and as time is passing, those are getting higher and higher. And of course, फिर आपके जो barrier है वो भी आपने higher किया है, जाहिर है. अब वो waves बढ़ती जा रही हैं, barrier भी higher होता जा रहा है, right? अब आप बताएं जब वो barrier टूटेगा तो क्या होगा? And this is human nature. इसमें किसी बच्चे का किसी बच्ची का कसूर नहीं होगा. This is human nature. और हम ये करते हैं कि नहीं नहीं वो तो बहुत शरीफ बच्चा है, उसमें किसी बच्चे की शराफत का भी सवाल नहीं होता उसमें. दैट्स ह्यूमन नेचर. When this happens and they go and they mingle and they don't know how to do it in a proper way, then this is going to be a problem. And then they will have a hard time concentrating on their studies, on their future. Because for that time being, they will just find each other to be the priority. And I'm telling you, you can talk to OA level के teachers and they will confirm that they have this huge problem जहाँ पे लड़के लड़कियां बच्चे साथ पढ़ रहे हैं. They have a huge problem with concentration. और उसकी वजह साथ पढ़ने की भी शायद हो, लेकिन उसकी मेजर वजह यह है कि पेरेंट्स ने बच्चों को ट्रेन नहीं किया हुआ on how to interact with each other. And even more than that, how to handle puberty. And then when you're not handling it properly, then you get into trouble as an adult. Because all we do is, oh, वो लड़का खराब है, वो लड़की खराब है, उसका bad influence है, उसका खराब influence है, तुम अब उससे नहीं मिलोगी, तुम अब उससे नहीं मिलोगे. And you just do this. But you don't get to the core of the problem, which is कि 11 साल 12 साल की उम्र में बच्चों को बिठा के उनको explain करो कि what is happening to your bodies, what are you going through, how are you feeling, what are you feeling inside your head, and then you teach them how to deal with it. Teach them what is happening and teach them that, look, this is going to happen to you, this is how you control it, and this is your limit. You can talk to them, you can do this, and talk, and liking them is completely okay, but right now your priority is this and this. Open this communication with your children. Otherwise, they will come out of it, of course, eventually, but it's not going to be, they're always going to be lacking something. And that is what they take into their adulthood. And that is why so many marriages in our culture and so many relationships in our culture are just a bust, because हमने मर्दों को बिल्कुल different, अपने लड़कों को बिल्कुल different तरीके से एक concept दिया हुआ है कि relationships कैसे होने चाहिए, और लड़कियों को बिल्कुल different concept दिया हुआ है, which has nothing to do with religion, has to do with our culture, because हम उनको सिखाते कुछ नहीं है. वो जो देखते हैं वही pass on हो जाता है, और वही जो feelings होती हैं जिस तरह से वो आ रही हैं टेढ़ी बेड़ी, उसी तरह से वो उनको hold on कर लेते हैं, लड़कियां भी और लड़के भी. There's a study, let me go to the study real quick. Then I'll come back to. तो पाकिस्तान में आगा खान की स्टडी में स्टडी हुई थी for a Journal of Asian Midwives for 2024 की स्टडी थी, knowledge and attitude of adolescents की स्टडी थी. वो सबा मोहम्मद नज़ीम और नाजिम, सलीमा, गुजार and Zahra something. The study was conducted from a sample of Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, Peshawar, and Quetta, 250 participants. What they found was that girls were unaware of menstruation. Boys were unaware of changes. Boys were aware of changes, but not any details. So basically, how many percent was this? 75% of girls were unaware of menstruation. This is in 2024 that we're talking about. Their sample, that's what it says. And then a research done by WHO showed World Health Organization, 75% male and 71% female have knowledge about basic puberty and sexual reproductive health. This is in ages between 17 and 19. 81% male and 91% women showed need for education on sexual health and detailed reproductive health. So these are all for Pakistan that are done, and this is just kind of showing generally what is needed and generally how we what kind of information we have and what kind of information is needed. And all the numbers here are young adults. So this is 17, ages between 17 and 19, and before this the ages were 16 to 24. So all the ages in these studies, even the Pakistan की studies ज़रा कम होती हैं, but जो भी studies हैं उनके numbers are in 70s and 80s के, young adults are not aware details में या information में 70s 80% में they're not available. एक और journal की study है, Journal of the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Pakistan. इसमें जो लोग हैं उसमें कुछ बाहर के भी हैं, कुछ अमेरिकन वो हैं डॉक्टर्स हैं, कुछ यहाँ के हैं, कुछ इस्लामाबाद के हैं, कुछ कराची के हैं, different places. Samina Naeem, Adiba Naiman, Muhammad Mohsen Javed, so different places. They're academics and, experts and scholars. Their sample is 18 to 24-year-olds. So what they were doing, their research, the intro for their research is, puberty is a crucial developmental phase marked by significant adjustments in physical, emotional, and mental well-being. So basically what they're saying is what we are talking about here. Okay, puberty is a very significant part of your growing, the stability of your growing age, right? इससे यहाँ से आपकी stability शुरू होती है और यहाँ से ही आपकी adulthood का एक part जो है वो main part जो है वो stabilize होता है. The ability of young adults to cope with the changes of puberty is essential for their academic achievement and overall health. तो इस एज में जिस तरह से आप coping mechanisms या puberty की एज में like 18 to 24, but they're saying 18 to 24, but I would even say younger, like 14, 15 to 24. इस एज में आप जो coping mechanism लर्न कर लेते हैं, आपको जो हैबिट्स सिखा दी जाती हैं, आपके साथ जो ट्रीटमेंट होता है, that is basically how you learn to be an adult. That is your lifelong way of dealing with the world, basically. So इसके जो results हैं, 18%. So इसमें they haven't differentiated male or female. 18% adequate knowledge, 42% moderate knowledge, 40% low knowledge. Okay, so now they have actually separated 65% girls को 65% knowledge है, like more than boys. 51% boys की information है. And then students who received mental health support were 67% less likely to face difficulty related to puberty. So yeah. So these are some of the research. बहुत research, detailed research और बहुत ज़्यादा research available नहीं थी. But whatever I could find. I mean, I'm sure there is more, but this is some of it. Considering that puberty lasts at least 5 to 7 years and at least until the age of 24, it's a significant time. And it does go into adulthood because हम 24 को adult consider करते हैं, almost adult consider करते हैं. So this is important to note कि हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि well, you know, वो तो बच्चे हैं, puberty तो बच्चों की होती है और हम बच्चों को क्या, but every stage of life we are learning something, right? और जो की चीज़ें हम learn करते हैं वो दिमाग में बैठ जाती हैं और वही चीज़ें हैं जो मिल मिला के adulthood में हम we give those out. That's part of our personality. So the time that we are spending with our heightened self-awareness, with our mood swings, with a changing sense of identity, ये main चीज़ है ना, with our not being sure of ourselves, with our, you know, we need our parents to reassure us, right? We do. We need our parents to be there for us, but not in the way that we think today. Reassuring them, oh, you're great, I love you, you're the best. No, that's not what they need. Our children need us to trust us, to believe in us. Now, that's another thing that that I feel that we're missing. जब हम ये बात करते हैं ना कि our parents, our children need us to trust them and children need us to be there for us, उसको भी थोड़ा सा different तरीके से लिया गया है. So, like, you know, studies show that the more you believe in your children, the more confidence you give them, the better they perform as adults in their lives. And especially during this time, the time of the most unsurety, the time of the most sense of, I don't know who I am, and I don't know what's happening to me. How will I get through this? Because for the most part, they are thinking that I'm the only one who's going through this. I'm the only one who's feeling this. Right? Most girls don't know when these changes start to happen. They freak out when they bleed, most of them. And they don't know what's happening to them until it starts to happen. A lot of the boys develop trust issues. This is not something that's known because why would they develop trust issues? Because they do. When these things happen, they happen at odd times and then they have no way of finding out. They find out from friends, from social media, from different places. And then they're like, dude, why didn't my dad tell me? Why didn't somebody in the family tell me? Like, this could have been an embarrassing situation. And sometimes it is an embarrassing situation. Girls develop, trust issues too. But then with girls, the thing is, they're a little bit more forgiving and forgetting, I think. And those issues don't go away. So, and of course, these things affect boys and girls differently and they react to it differently. So those things stay in your head, in the children's head. So now they've developed these trust issues, these anxieties, and this difficulty with dealing with the outside world because for years, 2, 3, 4 years, things were happening in their bodies, in their lives, in their minds, in what they saw. They were dealing with it and nobody told them it was coming. And then as it happened, they found out that people in their family, people they loved and trusted, knew that this would happen. But they were not told about it. So if you think about it this way, you realize that that's kind of betrayal and abandonment. So your kids are not going to say, you betrayed me, you abandoned me. They're just going to develop trust issues and they're going to have anxiety over, oh my gosh, what happens if something else happens that I don't know about, that my family hasn't told me, and I'm not prepared? You see? So that thing just kind of burrows in your head and you're always just worried. And that's where the anxiety of, I'm not ready, I can't be around people, the social anxiety that we talk about, I can't be around people, I don't like people. Why do you think all these adults that are coming out now from Gen X की generation से लेके अब तक, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. And I know that my mom used to always get so upset at me for that. कि क्या तुम्हें मसला लोगों से, कभी भी तुम जब हम कहीं जाते हैं तुम शोर मचा देती हो. And I used to tell her, look, I don't know why that is. My sisters are not like that. My brother and my sisters, they love hanging out with people. But I have this genuine fear. Now I force myself to be around people. But I had this genuine fear of being around people for too long or being outside of my house for too long. You can leave me alone for days at home by myself. I am okay. And my friends and my cousins and people are like, don't you get scared? Like being alone? I'm like, no, dude, I'm fine. Just don't leave me with people too long. So there is a general like fear of something happening, even though I know nothing will happen. But there is a trust problem that I don't know how that came into my adult life, but things happen where you feel like if something goes wrong, what if something goes wrong? At home, I have everything I need. I know where to go if I need something. I know who to call. I know how to deal with it on my own, even though I can do all of that outside of the house too. लेकिन एक comfort होता है. वही चीज़ है कि trust issues develop हो गए हैं, anxiety develop हो गई है, difficulty with relationships, because if you can't, अगर आपके mind में आप ये सोचें, as children, if you couldn't trust the people you loved the most and the people जिन पे आपकी life depend करती थी, if you couldn't trust them to protect you and save you in the situation जो उस वक्त आपके लिए सबसे ज़्यादा confusing थी और scary भी थी, बच्चों के हिसाब से उस वक्त तो आपके लिए वो मतलब डरी था ना कि ये क्या हो रहा है, क्या होगा, किस तरह होगा. तो उस हिसाब से तो it was a difficult situation. तो अब वो चीज़ हमें बैठ गई कि रिश्तेदार और people who say that they love you, they can't be trusted either. तो अब as you went forward with your life as adults, वो चीज़ जहन में बैठ गई कि relationships cannot be trusted. अगर वो relationships who claimed to love me and told me to trust them cannot be trusted, तो नए relationships को कैसे trust किया जाए? So that's why adults have a hard time these days making new relationships and, coming to this understanding that we will be okay. So our parents kept reinforcing it every time they didn't tell us things that they were supposed to tell us. Same thing happened when it came to relationships with other people, that everybody just said it's going to be okay, we're going to be fine, don't worry about it. But we knew it wasn't okay. We knew that we had to fend for ourselves. And I'm not saying that they were lying or they were trying to trick us, but at every point we were being told something that we couldn't trust. ठीक है ना, आपके जो पेरेंट्स से रिलेशनशिप था और आपके जो अपने फैमिली से या घर वालों से रिलेशनशिप था या आपके जो भी रिश्तेदार हैं और जो भी फ्रेंड्स का ग्रुप था, nobody was telling you about life what you needed to hear or what you were supposed to hear. Needed से मतलब ये कि जो भी actual facts हैं, वो for whatever reason you weren't being told those facts. They were telling you what they needed you to hear. अब मैं younger age की बात कर रही हूँ. Nobody was, क्योंकि हमारे कल्चर में यही है ना कि बच्चा है, बच्चों को भी क्या बताने की ज़रूरत है. So nobody tells them what they actually need to hear. और उसके साथ फिर वो relationship, एक तो relationship damage होता है, दूसरा again trust keeps getting basically broken again and again. और फिर उसमें दूसरी चीज़ क्या होती है कि आपस में कनेक्शन तो ख़त्म हो ही जाता है, बट देन दूसरा, व्हेन यू आर रेडी for new relationships, then you don't know how to create that relationship, because that relationship is basically tied with rejection. Now, how is it tied with rejection? नए relationships जो बनते हैं हमारे culture में, those are built through marriage, right? Now think about this. हमारे यहाँ लड़कों को क्या सिखाया जाता है about romantic partners or sexual partners? They know, or they think, or they're taught that they're supposed to take the lead in everything, every way. And girls are just taught that because they have no guidance from start to finish, as we talked about everything, they're basically taught that, that they're supposed to be indifferent to the whole thing. That, okay, if you रिश्ता आएगा, अच्छा है, ठीक है, नहीं हुआ तो मना कर देंगे, whatever, we'll see, कितने का पैसे कमाता है, क्या है, good looking है, whatever. That's basically how it's supposed to be, or it is in our culture. It's not supposed to be that way, but that is how it is in our culture. That's not how our religion works at all, but that's how it is in this society. Because we don't talk to our girls and explain to them that it is okay to have feelings, it is okay to want a romantic relationship, a sexual relationship, it is okay, not okay, but it is how it is. You do have sexual feelings, you do want, and you should be attracted to the person that you are about to marry. And for boys, they need to be explained, somebody needs to explain to them that you are going to have feelings, but there's a way to act on those feelings. There's a way to deal with your feelings until you're ready to get married, and when that time comes, there is a way to act upon it. And boys need to be taught rejection. So when you have rejection, and boys do face rejection more than girls do, that's just the way things are. और जब वो rejection, हमारे culture में rejection लड़कों को नहीं सिखाया जाता, and जब वो rejection आती है तो हमारे culture के जो लड़के हैं उनको समझ नहीं आती how to handle it, and that causes more anxiety, and more issues. And that's why friendships are very important, because your friends are buffers to your family and to these sorts of problems that come up. कि आपको जब इस तरह की रिजेक्शन, चाहे वो अच्छे सिनेरियो में है या बुरे सिनेरियो में, इस तरह की रिजेक्शन होती है, तो your friends are important. They are a buffer. They, are a support system for you. And family की अगर problems हो रही हैं तो तब भी they're a support system for you. I mean, you don't have to have like a ton of friends. 1 or 2 good friends are enough. And even Islam, maybe we know that friendships are important. So, and what are we talking about? So anyway, so these things, all of these things stem from one general problem. We have 6 on here? That we don't talk to our children. We don't explain to them how these things can come and become a problem. These things can gradually become a problem. So if we're talking to our children, now this goes into the psychological effect that this is happening. You know how we just, I just went and kind of kept talking, and I didn't separate into sections, but these were all separate sections, like psychosocial, and then peer, importance of peers and all of that. But I was just talking, and I didn't even, stop to see कि मैं कौन से section पे हूँ, कहाँ हूँ. But anyways, as long as the message is conveyed. But the point is, all of these things bunched together, सब कुछ मिला के पॉइंट वही बनता है कि हम इन सब चीज़ों को इग्नोर करते जाते हैं. लड़कियों का रिश्ता आता है तो we haven't taught them anything. They don't know what to look for. Why don't they know? और फिर जब when they don't know what to look for, we say, ये तो बच्ची को क्या पता, बस ठीक है कर दो. और हम किस लड़की से कर रहे हैं जिसके पेरेंट्स ने इसको कुछ नहीं बताया कि उसे कैसे एक्ट करना है, बीवी को कैसे संभालना है, बीवी के साथ किस तरह का सलूक करना है. And then when he gets married and he treats his daughter badly and the daughter doesn't know how to act, his wife doesn't know how to react to that, then they both feel, now right now I'm not going to get into the big picture of it because we're talking about this particular situation जो हम इसमें बात कर रहे हैं, being an adult, then they both feel rejected, right? Because the husband is trying to do his job the way he's been taught. इतना देखें सिचुएशन को. Husband is trying to do his job the way he has been taught. And what has he been taught? कि हम लड़कों को क्या सिखाते हैं? कि it's okay for him to have the feelings that he has. और उन feelings को जिस तरह वो करना चाह रहा है, apply करना चाह रहा है, he can apply them that way. But can he? Can he boss his wife? Can he, can he be dominating on his wife? Can he tell her, just do what my mom is saying, kya masla hai, what's the big deal? And no, I want food to be ready at this time and whatever. Jo bhi uska tarika hai. He's not trying to be rude or badtameez to her. He's just saying, that's how I've been raised. That's what my mom did. She waited on me hand and foot. But if she wanted what was best for me. And my sister did, with my mom, my sister did the housework. So what's the problem? Right? But the daughter, even though she was submissive because she was taught कि मियाँ की खिदमत करनी है, मियाँ का ख्याल रखना है, बस छोड़ो सास को. सासें तो ऐसी होती हैं, हमने भी बर्दाश्त किया है. But वो लाडली थी अपने पेरेंट्स की, लाडली है पेरेंट्स की. She doesn't want to put up with all that. Right? So she is standing up for herself. He's feeling rejected. But because he's dealing with her this way, she's feeling rejected. So both of them are feeling rejected now. And neither one of them were taught how to handle their feelings and take care of each other in a relationship. Did you know that there is a hadith that says, I think I have it somewhere, that talks about how men should deal with their spouses? It actually says that do not I don't want to just read it. It says do not jump on your spouses like wild animals and just come on them softly, go to them softly. And there was somebody asked, what does that mean? He said, go approach them with the kisses and soft, sweet words, something of that sort. So the Prophet had, he knew what men are capable of and that they can be rough and they can be harsh. So, and these are the things, these are not things that you tell a guy on his wedding night, right? These are things that you teach them over time that, look, when you're ready, this is what you're going to do. When you're ready, these are the rules that you're going to apply. And same goes for the girl. So the point I started with and I didn't make is, so how do you raise your kids with confidence and with this information? You don't tell them in the moment, you don't at that time tell them, oh, I love you, you're so great and you'll do great and everything. No. Giving them confidence means let them fail. Let them do things and then fail and let them know that I trust you. You will fail. You will over and over again get it wrong. But eventually you'll get it. And when we say as adults, we don't know what we're doing, we've gotten it wrong, and our life is upside down, that's because we didn't get enough practice as young adults with our parents. Do you see the difference? So if right now at the age of 12 and 13, I give my kids room to just make mistakes, not really big ones, not the kind of mistake that would hurt them or hurt us or harm other people, no, but just room to, because they're looking to be independent. They're looking to do more on their own. And if I let them, they'll have the confidence and the ability to be more responsible. And then when they're, like I said, the example I gave of the O levels and A levels, when they reach that age, they will be more prepared for the world, for the real world, and they will have more of a stable brain to make those decisions without my help or without their father's help, because they will know more about the world. And they'll have more accurate information. Because right now I tell them, anything anybody tells you or any information you find on the internet, come confirm it with me. And I will help you get proper information. ऐसे नहीं करना कि किसी फ्रेंड से कुछ पूछ लिया या इंटरनेट पे जाके कोई उल्टी सीधी सर्च कर ली, because हर चीज़ इंटरनेट पे accurate नहीं होती. And that is, so far, that is what they do. But then I help them. I go through, proper जो भी वो search जहाँ से हो सकती है books में देख के, and I give them that information that they need. They've hit puberty now, so इनके father ने, he sat down with them, he did, showed them videos, had talks with them. And then they come to me and they ask me questions, and I answer their questions honestly, age appropriately. And actually, I was asking the older one, I was like, do you like girls yet? And he was like, yeah, I do. So you think girls are pretty? He's like, yes, I think girls are pretty. Okay. And then I was like, if you ever think a girl's pretty, come tell me. Just tell me, and then I'll tell you how to deal with it. Don't do anything stupid. Don't like do things that, because उससे पहले मुझे बता रहा था क्लास में उसका कोई है लड़का who approached a girl, said something, वो गुस्सा आ गया लड़की को, तुम्हें कोई लड़की पसंद है अपनी, I mean उसके क्लास में they have boys and girls के sections अलग हैं, but events पे or different जगहों पे होती हैं मुलाकातें, ये projects वगैरह और सारी चीज़ें साथ होती हैं बाज़ दफ़ा. So I said, if you like a girl, come tell me. I'll tell you how to handle it. Just don't do इस तरह की चीज़ें कि you don't want कि वो लड़की तुमसे चिढ़ जाए. Just, I'll tell you. So things like that. Just don't act like it's not happening. You don't see it, because it is happening, and you would rather कि तुम्हारी supervision में हो, and your kid knows how to deal with it, because this is going to happen, and you want him to be that good kid that girls respect, rather than they're like, oh my God, he's a creep. I don't want that for my son. Honestly, for either one of them, I don't want that for them. Choto wala bhi is kind of like, ooh, girls are girls and girls, yeah. So he's not ready. He's not there yet. But, I don't want that for my boys. I want them to be good, upstanding Muslim boys. And I want that to reflect in how they treat not just other men around them, but women as well. And I can't do that if I don't know what they're thinking and who they're with and what is happening in their heads and their body, right? So that was one thing. And then another thing that's important is that now that they're, admitting their feelings and the fact that they're telling me, I talk to them about what Islam says about, how to treat their wives and, people in their family. And I do want to go over a couple of sunnahs and what they say. It says about spouses, how to treat the Prophet ﷺ, how he treated his wives. Is one, they have a few here. I just want to go over, and I thought it was very sweet. So those of you who are still young, and those of you who have young kids, I would suggest that you just, read these to them. So the Prophet ﷺ used to lay in Hazrat Aisha's lap and read the Quran. And he used to have races with her, take her to different game events. He used to help her around the house. And also, this would be something that you can raise your boys with, especially raise them with these values that they do that automatically, that they help around the house, that they, it shouldn't become that only girls are supposed to be in the kitchen, only girls are supposed to be helping out, that it's second nature to them, to help out around the house. Respect and care for the people that they care for, just automatically, because they love her or him, you automatically care for the people that they care for. Automatically, it comes from within. Foreplay. So we mentioned that hadith. This is where the hadith is. Don't come onto your wife like an animal. There should be kisses and sweet words. Ensure their comfort. Share food and drink. And so the Prophet used to share food and drink, and with the drink, he would drink from the same place where his wife's lip would have touched. Dress up for them, wear nice clothes and perfume and things that they like. Flirt. Be open and be inviting. Make them feel good about themselves when you are flirting with your spouse or the person that you're romantically involved with, which should be your spouse. It feels nice when they do that, right? Bathing with your spouse. So these are just some of the things. There's more, but just like a small. This is the kind of list that you can share with your kids at a certain age when they are baligh, and you can tell them, look, these are certain things that you have to look forward to. You have to be kind to her. You have to, or him, and you have to. So again, these are all examples of things that we need to talk to our kids about to avoid them turning into those typical men and women of our culture, or them turning into those adults who just feel like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, right? Who feel like, okay, maybe I have a mental health problem. Maybe I'm neurodivergent. Maybe I need some time off. Maybe I'm not an adult yet. Maybe I can't function in a society. Maybe I'm an outcast. Because frankly, none of these young adults are any of those things. Our parents, their parents, us, we just didn't train them properly for the things that are happening these days. When the time actually came to train them, we just closed our eyes to the problems because we didn't want to deal with it. Because we thought, we don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about growing up. We don't want to talk about this or this or this. It's going to be fine. Because I have parents of kids, not kids, almost adults, adult 15, 16-year-olds who are asking me in their sessions, should we tell our kids about the war in Gaza? And I just don't know how to explain to them that it is impossible, that your kids already don't know. Their kids are going to school, they hang out with their friends, they go out, to parties and whatnot. How can their kids not know? So you see, we need to let our kids live in this world completely, and we need to facilitate them. Rather than treating them like they're 4 years old still, facilitate them. Give them the confidence to live in this world. teach them healthy ways to deal with this world, and believe in them, have the confidence in them that they need us to have in them, so that they can actually be adults rather than worrying about, can I be an adult? Am I an adult? And those of us who already are adults and are wondering what you can do to stop worrying about being an adult, you're there. So just stop worrying about it and just keep doing what you're doing. I guarantee you, you're doing amazing. And I don't know, if I know you, I am sure I'm proud of you. And if I don't know you, then I'm sure you're doing great. You've made it this far, right? And you're going to have to, the first thing you're going to have to do is forgive yourself. Whatever has happened, it's gone, done with. Just move on and focus on what's coming. Focus on the positive and try to work on eliminating the negative, right? That's the best you can do. And if any of you need my help or the help of any other mental health professional at FemmeIcon, please DM us. We're here to help you anytime. We have psychologists, therapists, counselors, coaches. We solve these kinds of problems. The problems that we talked about, that I have been talking about for the past hour, these are the problems that we tackle. So yeah, DM us and we will be more than happy to help you. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. And we will see you next time.